There it is. Okay, cool. Okay, hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of On Tyranny series that I'm doing. My name is Kurt. I'm with a website called The Bad Penny. It's my website, and I have the distinct privilege to welcome the next participant in the series. This is Thad from Cosmic Reaper, whose new album has been getting some of the strongest reception I've heard of any metal record all year. It just came out on Friday, Bleed the Wicked, Drown the Damned, and it is popping up like crazy on all these like lists and getting 4 and 5 star reviews. So it's a real honor to have you participate in this series. And part of the reason I asked you and extended the invitation, which you graciously accepted, is because a lot of your record deals with tyranny and fascism, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Ted, first of all, just can you tell me a little bit about how you've responded to the reception of the record? I mean, it's been really, really well received. So.
It just flew over. Can you repeat that question?
Oh yeah, no problem. I was just gonna say, just to kind of break the ice a little bit, can you tell me about like your reaction to how well the album has been received? I mean, it's just like everybody's raving about it.
Oh yeah, it's I feel very humbled. Just glad that people are enjoying listening to it. Um we we definitely put a lot of work into the record, and it just means a lot to for it to be well received by a lot of people. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. Um, and uh, and so yeah, let's just dive in. I mean, can you talk about I guess for starters, just how you're feeling these days? You know, with all the insanity. I mean, it felt like 10 years ago we started saying like, well, things can't get any crazier, and that was 10 years ago now. You know, and it's just like even the past few days, it just is ratcheted up, just like off the charts with some of the stuff that Trump talking in front of the military with that bizarre speech, and just like the brazenness he's talking about sending Marines to cities now, and just so open about everything, and just like the enemy is here and within the country.
Yeah.
Um, Stuff that is just abhorrent and terrifying. And I lived for a little while in Chile shortly after Pinochet was in power, and I still have a hard time communicating to people just what the atmosphere was like. And he had been out of power for probably 3 to 5 years. But you'd be on a bus and like you'd hear a car backfire and everybody would freak out, and you drive by a bank and there'd be armed guards with machine guns. Every week at the college campuses, there was tanks that came to gas the students who are protesting for like a lower tuition. So I don't want to keep rambling, but I want to hear your thoughts about just kind of how you're coping with things, how you're reacting to things, if you saw a lot of this coming. Just feel take it where you will.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly terrified. Um I I feel like I'm I've always tried to stay pretty, brushed up on my history, and um I've always believed it's important to learn from history or you will repeat it. And ever since Trump first started running in 2015, like hearing his rhetoric and everything, I mean it's straight out of the fascist playbook, just a modern version of it. A weirdly stupid version of it. And I'm really surprised how so many people just latched onto it, like, yeah, that's what we want. And he just kept pushing the envelope, getting crazier and crazier. And then they bombard us with so much that it becomes normalized because you can't keep up with everything.
Right.
And especially the second term, it's a whole new ball game. I mean, just every day there's some new crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many Americans are so overwhelmed by it that they just try not to think about it. And so many people are pretending like everything's fine. And it's absolutely not, you know? Um, I mean, this is the most divisive, politically violent president we've ever had in our nation's history. And I think a lot of people are still able to pretend it's okay because it hasn't affected them directly yet,
Right.
but it's coming unless we somehow put a stop to it. Um, I mean, he's literally taking things straight out of Hitler's playbook.
Mhm.
All the world leaders that he has ever said he admires or respects are dictators.
Yeah.
And he's making these comments recently, like bragging, like, okay, oh yeah, maybe I'm a dictator. Maybe people want a dictator. Like, it's absolutely insane. And I can't believe that um, the rest of our government, like checks and balances are gone, clearly.
Mhm.
Like he bulldozed through that by simply ignoring it. And we let it happen, you know?
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. Part of the reason I felt compelled to do this series was because when there's a fascist takeover of a country, um, I mean, they go after certain groups, but artists are usually pretty high on the list. And you know, uh, I've talked with a lot of artists. I've approached a lot of artists to participate, and some have said, I don't want to talk politics. And I had respect for that point of view like 10 years ago, because to talk about politics was to get in the weeds about policy issues. Um, and I understood, and I believe still, that like a true democracy should allow, like, citizens shouldn't have to be on top of everything. Like in a well-functioning democracy, you should have the peace of mind to know that your government is handling things, and that you shouldn't have to worry about disaster relief or freedom of speech, like going to jail for speaking out in favor of oppressed people across the world, that kind of stuff, or being deported. you know
Yeah.
so I want to say also at the top of this that I really I admire you and I respect you for being part of this, because I know it's not easy. But when I hear people say like, I don't want to talk about politics, we're still beyond that. This is
Oh,
now
yeah.
we're in a situation now where it's a battle between right and wrong. It's a battle between democracy and fascism, and anybody who doesn't feel it or hasn't felt it yet is going to. And my heart goes out, especially right now, for like trans kids, and especially just the suffering they're going through. Can you talk, if you've been directly impacted, or maybe had friends or family who have been impacted, whether it be threats online, or being told that you shouldn't say things in your songs, or maybe anything that's happened at shows, anything along those lines?
I've seen it personally hit like the underground music scene. Like that may very well have happened, but that's not something I've seen.
Yeah.
If that's what you mean. Um, I have seen like I know someone who recently lost her job because she made a comment about Charlie Kirk. Um, Unrelated to the music scene, but still, um, it's just a weird time. And that, I would say that specifically doesn't fall under the violation of free speech because she wasn't fired because of the government, but it's
Exactly.
because of the government's rhetoric about it.
Yeah.
So I would say that's still related, but yeah, I feel like as far as the music industry, entertainment industry, it seems like it hasn't really gone past like mainstream, but I'm sure it will in the future if we don't put a stop to it.
Yeah. I was talking with a publicist the other day. I was saying, this one, and again, I don't begrudge people for not wanting to be part of the series, because they have the right to, and I understand the fear factor big time, especially if it's a family, or anything along those lines. But my remark to the publicist was like, dude, just wait in 3 years when you go to like aftershock and there's tanks and Marines outside, with the security lines. And I don't think that that's a crazy idea anymore. you know
No,
um and something, the other thing, I don't want to dominate here. I'm sorry. But you know, in addition to people being overwhelmed by what's going on, it seems like there's also a contingent of people, a pretty large contingent that's like, well, this will pass when Trump's gone. But I think what we see in the last week, with JD Vance taking more of a stand and publicly, and not just defending Trump, but also defending the behavior and what's going on. Um, I think we might be in this for like the longer haul. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that this administration has had such a big impact so rapidly on our government that it's going to change things for decades to come.
Yeah. Mhm.
I mean, it's an even more significant impact, I would say, um, at least as far as the current intensity of it, as the Reagan administration. And we're still feeling the after effects of the Reagan administration.
Yeah.
I mean, his administration shifted the whole Overton window to the right, including the Democratic Party.
Right.
And ever since, we've been descending into an oligarchy. And I feel like we're now at the pinnacle of that,
Mhm.
and I feel like we're going to feel the effects of this for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I kind of want to shift to talk about your record and how you made the decision to talk about topics that you did, and a big topic that comes up when in conversations like this is self-censorship, and it's kind of a difficult topic to broach because self-censorship self-censorship, which is like, for anybody who's unaware of the term, is not saying something before somebody tells you not to, but that you feel like you should or that you want to, which is part of the chilling effect of authoritarianism. Was there any point when you're creating your record that you felt like hesitancy or reluctance, not necessarily for like fear of like the government coming after you, but just maybe even fear of like splitting your fan base or something like that? Did that ever cross your mind?
Um, Definitely something I thought about. Um, then again, I feel like for the most part, people who would take the time to delve into the lyrics that I write and think about what they mean are probably open-minded,
Mhm.
you know. Um, so I wasn't too worried about it.
Yeah.
And our music is kind of a mixed bag as far as like um taking certain things seriously and also just having fun. Like we have um songs that are based on pretty silly ideas that we were just having fun with, and how it's sort of turned a silly concept into like a horror story kind of thing. Like the song Blood Feather is based on a time we were on our way to a show in Baltimore and we accidentally hit a goose with our van. And then we were joking around saying we should write a song in memory of that goose, and that's how that came to be. But it turned into sort of a horror story about ritual sacrifice to an ancient god or goddess, like things like that. But then there's songs like Hammer, the opening track on the album, which is very much intentionally a serious political message.
Yeah.
Um, and it was, as far as the imagery depicted in the lyrics, it was very much inspired by the movie Metropolis, the
Hmm.
classic sci-fi, very much workers' rights, anti-fascist kind of film. And I've always loved that film, and obviously I'm a big supporter of workers' rights, so I just thought that would be a really cool song to do.
Yeah.
And then the song Parasites, also off the new album, is essentially about billionaires and the oligarchy and how they're parasites, you know,
Mhm.
on this earth. And yeah, so
Yeah. Um, does it surprise you, that like so much of the supporters of not just Trump, but his whole the MAGA, is really consists of people of the working class?
Um, it doesn't surprise me anymore. I still don't fully understand it. I mean, I think that they have succumbed to decades of propaganda.
Mhm.
And I think in a way the Democratic Party is just as much to blame because they used to be the party of the working class and they abandoned the working class.
Yeah.
So then, you know, a good portion of the working class decided, they start hearing all this rhetoric that plays to their fears and their anxieties, and it shifted their mindset, and they ended up kind of pissing in the wind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I understand how it happened, you know.
Right. Um, what about among your fan base? Like, do you um, feel like your message has a, pretty much is universally accepted or felt? Do you feel like there's people who maybe really aren't informed and don't know a lot about what you're talking about, or
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the majority of the fans don't really, um, I guess, haven't really paid that much attention to the messages behind the lyrics, or they just haven't said much to us. I mean, we get a handful of comments, but the ones that I've heard personally have all been positive. So,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, I guess we may see more you know, with this record as time goes on.
Sure. Have you had a lot of people telling you like how appreciative they are that you're speaking out, or like that you're um, communicating a message that is being stifled in so many areas of society right now?
Um, a few people so far, yeah,
Yeah.
which is here.
Yeah. Again, the record is, it's brand new. It just came out less than 1 week ago. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah. Can you talk a little more about Hammer? I mean, is that, you're kind of talking about like just how, like you were saying before, like being overwhelmed by just the sheer force and magnitude of how much bad shit has happened.
Yeah. Funny enough, I actually wrote the lyrics to that song like a couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. um, because even before the current administration, we already had an issue with workers' rights
Yeah.
specifically. This country has been like unions have been declining over the decades, and workers are having less and less of a voice. Um, so it's really speaking out about that. But I think with everything that's going on currently, with the song finally being released to the public, um, it definitely has a new kind of relevance now, I would say.
Yeah. Um,
Rights are being threatened on a whole new level.
yeah.
So,
And do you think that brazenness is kind of connected with the brazenness with which billionaires are sharing their radical views on social media with just no real concern for or no real thought. When you think about somebody getting rich, you think about how smart they must be to have worked the system and to have climbed the ladder in such a way that they've accumulated wealth. But when you see some of the behavior of like Mark Zuckerberg going on Joe Rogan and saying some of the things he said, or like, the meeting a couple weeks ago where all the tech CEOs were sitting around a table with Trump and laughing, not knowing that is the image of fascism, of corporations and the government like marrying and then no better example than Elon Musk, who seems to have faced very little public consequence for some of the most egregious behaviors that you see in public. I mean, you talk about somebody losing their job because of making a remark about Charlie Kirk. how on earth did he not face backlash after the Nazi salute? Like, I mean, I know there was some backlash, but yeah, can you just talk about maybe like the bizarreness of how the billionaires are so public now?
Yeah, I mean they've really just they have no shame anymore. Um, and I feel like Trump single-handedly paved the way for that to happen
Yeah,
because he's unapologetic. He doesn't give a shit. And um, just enough people supported that for it to become somewhat normalized. And now these billionaires are like, oh, I don't have to pretend like I care about people anymore.
yeah,
And Elon Musk and his ketamine fueled delusion just went off the rails. I mean, you know, as far as level of insanity, he's right up there with Trump.
right.
It it's just crazy the kind of things that can become normalized. I still don't understand it, but
Mhm.
yeah,
And not just behavior like specific types of behavior becoming normalized, but the double standard becoming normalized. When I say that, I mean like, you said if anybody was to say anything, like even what Jimmy Kimmel said about Charlie Kirk was, you know, I mean, maybe ill-timed, whatever, but like he was
yeah,
talking about how a person who made their living on hate speech, wound up with a certain fate, I guess. I won't go any further than that because I don't want to say anything, but
right,
I don't care enough about Charlie Kirk to even really comment on him. But then in the immediate aftermath of what happened, Elon Musk came out and said the left is the party of murder. I mean, to not see that double standard is just insane. I don't,
yeah,
you know, um, where it's like if you're of a certain political persuasion or just you have certain beliefs, you have to shut up about them. But if you have other beliefs on the other side that are further radical, it's okay, you know.
yeah.
Um, so, are you feeling? What are you feeling like among your peers? I mean, in the metal scene, like, are you feeling like there's any sort of division that's growing, or is it becoming more unified? Like, we're gonna stick together and speak our mind, and in the face of fear, stand up and you know say what we want to say.
Yeah, I feel like um the majority of people that I know in the metal community, it seems like we're pretty unified overall.
Yeah,
Um there is like a weird fringe group of, you know, um like far right metalheads, of course, but I just don't know many of them personally. So,
yeah,
yeah. Um but I feel like we're at the point now where it's like, how can you not see what's happening or what could happen if we don't stop this? You know?
right. Um, do you think that metal's evolved in the sense that, like, when you think about the '80s and you mentioned Reagan, like anti-Reagan, it seems just to me, and I could be totally ignorant about this, but like a lot of the artists that spoke out strongly that were in the underground scene were like punk bands. And
Yeah.
now it's like you got punk and metal bands kind of on the same page. Is that what's your take on that?
Um, I feel like nowadays there's a little more crossover between the metal and punk scenes. I feel like a lot of people are fans of both or kind of dip their toes in both.
Yeah,
Um, at least from what I know of the scene back in the 80s, there was a lot more like you're either punk or you're metal. There's no in between. But I feel like it's not so like, you know, divided anymore, which is cool. Like most metalheads I know also like punk. So,
mhm,
you know,
yeah. Do you feel like there's much division between bands that are on indie labels and bands that are on corporate labels? Because it also wasn't too long ago that there was a real disdain among underground bands for bands that would quote sell out, and you don't hear that word used that phrase used much anymore. Um, what do you think's happening there, if anything?
I really don't know on that one, to be honest. I mean, um, I don't I don't really know any bands personally that are on that like big corporate level. Um, I do feel like there's still, somewhat of a separation between the mainstream and underground metal scene, but I don't really mind that.
Yeah, yeah. In a lot of ways, it seems like maybe a healthy thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm glad, I'm grateful to be on a label that, you know, lets us do whatever we want. They don't tell us not to say anything or not to do anything. We're just, total artistic freedom, which I think is the most important thing.
Yeah. Um, have you heard of any? Have any of your peers either left the country, or have you heard rumblings about certain people wanting to thinking about leaving the country because of what's happening, or is that not risen? Have we not gotten that point yet?
Um, I don't think I know anyone personally who has, but I'm hearing a lot of people talking about it.
Mhm.
Um, and I've looked into it myself, and the biggest thing is it's expensive as fuck to
Yeah.
move to another part of the world. Um, and a weird thing a lot of people don't realize, I didn't realize so recently, but if you're a US citizen and you want to maintain your US citizenship and you're living abroad, you're still expected to pay income tax here if
Is
you're
that
living
right?
elsewhere. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So you'll essentially have to pay double taxes unless you just revoke your citizenship altogether.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a really thanks for sharing that. It's I've not heard of that before. Um, what about bands from other countries maybe feeling a little more reluctant to tour here, or not necessarily reluctant, but just not seeing the incentive as much anymore? I've talked with a couple of bands from Canada who are like, it was already hard enough with the visa fees and getting cleared. This is just kind of like put us over the edge. We're like, and it's also now getting more expensive here with gas and the way the economy is going, going, inflation and all that. You're not,
Yeah.
you know,
I've definitely seen a decline in bands from overseas coming here. Um, but as far as I know, the main thing is because it's more expensive than ever. Um, but I'm glad, a lot of bands still are making it over here. Like just the including bands I'd wanted to see for years. One being Mars Red Sky from
oh,
France. I don't know if you ever listen to those guys.
I've heard the name, but no.
One of my favorite bands. They came over here like 6 months ago or something. But I finally got to see them and they were phenomenal. Um, so there are definitely bands still coming over, but it's I don't think it's as many as it used to be.
Yeah, yeah. Um, have you been to Europe since November?
I've actually never been to Europe.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. You must have getting starting to plan to go though, I would imagine, with how well you're doing.
Yes. Yeah, that is definitely something we want to do in the future. Our uh our lead guitarist, Peter, he's actually from London.
Ah,
So he has a lot of connections in the UK and in Europe in general. So
yeah,
we really need to get over there.
yeah. It's probably gonna feel like a real fun time, especially now. Just like you're gonna enjoy freedom again in a way.
Yeah.
A lot of places. But are you thinking about hitting the summer festival circuit next year?
We're talking about it. It's
Yeah,
not set yet, but we would like to get on a few for sure.
yeah, yeah, cool. Um, well, I guess I want to make sure we have. Sometimes these interviews get cut short. We've got like 6 minutes, so I do want to talk to you about the degree to which you have hope, and also what you feel like. I mean, obviously, as an artist and the record you've made, you're doing something. You're talking about issues that some people are afraid to talk about or don't want to talk about. Can you talk about what maybe your fans can do, what people can do? That's a kind of dual pronged question there. So,
Yeah, I think um, as artists, we need to just keep encouraging people to band together, stick together, unify as a voice that's bigger than anything that they can throw money at. Because that's the biggest thing is money is power in this country. And I feel like decades of propaganda have caused Americans to be hyper focused on individualism. We don't know how to stick together anymore, so we have to relearn how to do that. And this is the time to do it. And if we can learn to do that, we can take the power back. And I like it is crucial that we somehow get back on the same page at this point. And if we can do that, there's hope for the future.
I've talked with probably about 35, 40 artists now, and you're the first person I've heard say that and say it so well. So thank you. That's just maybe the most critical piece of advice one can give, really. That's a great point of view.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
add to that. I'll add to that another thing people need to remember is this is no longer about political party. Really, it's not about rich or well, it is about rich or poor, is what I was going to say. This is a class war.
yeah,
What this is, it's a class war
yeah,
more than anything else.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, and yeah, the it is good to see that the fragmentation between punk and metal is not there anymore. So, the idea of banding together seems like a realistic thing. You talk with people and they don't necessarily want to be boxed in as like a fan of only one kind of music, which is really cool.
Yeah,
It's a real and it must be really empowering for you to have a platform, right? I mean, it must feel really like you can be effective in a way.
I I can only hope.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, so before we get cut off, I just wanted to ask you, to talk about where people can get your music and learn more about your band, see your band, what you have coming up in terms of plans. So feel free to plug away.
Yeah, we're actually it, as far as touring for the new record, it's kind of delayed a little bit. We're still piecing that together, so it's probably going to be toward the end of this year, early next year before we're actually touring for the album. So we don't have any dates to announce for that as of now. But currently, you can order the album from heavypsychsounds.com. Obviously, it's streaming on all platforms as well.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
but we look forward to seeing everyone in the future, in future tours and whatnot. So
And again, the album is called Bleed the Wicked, Drown the Damned. And the band is Cosmic Reaper. And looks like, well, you're on Instagram, Facebook. Are you on Bandcamp too? Probably, or
yep, all the above.
okay, cool, great. Um, hey, it's really been a pleasure talking with you. I really appreciate your participation, your courage, your
Yeah,
candor, the thought you put into your answers, and just the fact that you've been saying what you've been saying, and the new record is just, it's right up there. Top 10 potential, or not just potential, but likelihood.
thank you so much, Kurt. I really appreciate you having me, and thank you for doing what you do.
Oh, thanks a lot, man. Yeah, it's been my pleasure. I kind of dominated there a little bit. Didn't mean to, but
No,
certain times of the day you're a little more fired up than others.
yeah, and you know, you're preaching to the choir here. Obviously, you're not talking to just me, but as far as our conversation, it's easy to get carried away when you're talking to someone who fully is on the same page as you. So
Yeah, Yeah, and I hope to have some conversations where there's disagreements, but it's just we're at a weird place, man. So,
Yeah.
but hopefully we'll get there. So, thanks again.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye bye, man.
Bye.